To ask the Minister the discussion she has had with the EU counterparts in light of Brexit and the indications that there could be 55,000 jobs in jeopardy, and what supports and advice have been coming from the EU and from our counterparts, I suppose our counterparts in different countries, advices that she has received in relation to the job losses that could be in place, particularly in the agri-food industry.
I just want to thank the Deputy for raising this. I understand that the ESRI, Department of Finance, are now completing a more comprehensive assessment of the impact of Brexit on Ireland, and these results are expected to be published later in March. I suspect that the job figure to which the Deputy refers is based on a preliminary analysis undertaken by the ESRI and the Department of Finance, which takes account of recently published UK impact assessments. However, I should point out that the analysis does not suggest that 55,000 jobs will be lost, but rather that employment growth will be slower than otherwise would be the case in the absence of Brexit. Nevertheless, and reflecting our still growing economy, total employment is expected to increase by around 178,000 by 2023. In February 28, my department published the Copenhagen Economics Report, which examined the strategic implications arising from Ireland from changing EU-UK trading relations. Whilst all scenarios examined produce a result that is less favourable than a non-Brexit scenario, the Irish economy is still expected to record strong and positive growth out to 2030. This report also highlighted a range of employment challenges, with employment shifts occurring from vulnerable agricultural and traditional manufacturing sectors towards a range of services likely to experience job growth. The analysis has also highlighted the disproportionate impact of Brexit on the regions. This analysis was conducted on the basis of no policy change, that is, if no mitigation measures were taken by government or by firms. In reality, of course, extensive work to prepare for the UK's exit, including for a hard Brexit scenario, has been undertaken in my department, across government and across the enterprise sector. Over the course of the last 3 budgets, I have introduced through the enterprise agencies an extensive suite of supports to assist firms to meet the challenges presented by Brexit. They range from liquidity support through short-term and long-term loans to restructuring aid for businesses in severe operating difficulties. The majority of enterprise supports are open to all companies, including SMEs, and not just those who are clients of the enterprise agencies.
And thank the Minister for the reply. I suppose the ESRI and the Department of Finance are compiling a report which is going to be issued later in the month of March. Today is the 7th of March. We are within 3 weeks of a Brexit exit. It's 2.5 years since the vote was taken in 2016 in the UK in relation to Brexit, and we are to accept that the Department of Finance and the ESRI are in March 2019 going to issue a report. That frightens us, because we have known the implication and the challenges that are in Brexit, and you are quite right in what you have said in relation to the rural communities or to the regions. You are quite right, because there is huge challenges there, and it's not just on the agri-food industry but on the many companies that are exporting into the UK. And many of the companies, the management of companies that I would be talking to on a daily basis, would be challenging to say that government or the ESRI or the Department of Finance don't seem to be up to speed with it or treating it with the urgency. And I have to challenge you, Minister, do you accept that in March 2019 is now the appropriate time for the ESRI and the Department of Finance report to be coming out, that it should have been done months, if not a year ago?
There have been numerous reports compiled, and the Copenhagen report was compiled last year, and we have certainly been acting on the information contained in that. But you're right, Deputy, there are exposed sectors who are vulnerable to Brexit, and we have raised this with the Commissioner, and we are working with those businesses to overcome the difficulties of this possible shock. And I recently met with Commissioner Vestager in January, and the focus of this meeting centred around severe challenges that Irish businesses, especially SMEs, SMEs will face when the UK leaves the European Union. And the Commissioner emphasised that the Commission stands ready to act urgently in mitigation against the impacts of Brexit on Irish firms. And of course we recently got state aid approval there for Carberry Food Ingredients Limited to help them, that company, towards financing a £65 million diversification project to mitigate the impacts of Brexit. And Carberry is a significant transformation. I know you're very familiar with it, Deputy, for a good company that was moving away from the UK market and changing the product from cheddar to mozzarella to target the Asian market. And this was you know, a test case and a demonstration of what we want to do for the food sector, and the dairy industry has been working extremely closely with us and with government and has announced between 700 million and 800 million of investment.